recently came out with a theory called How They Met. So Antom's How They Met. To cover some ground, have you seen this theory? Have you watched this?
I told Tom that I would watch the video today.
Did you?
No.
Wait, before we start, those of you who keep up with me on Twitter may be going, hey, this isn't a live stream. And to that I say...
So let's
live stream who? Live stream who? Never heard of a
live stream what? What even is live streaming?
Yeah, sorry about that one.
I've made a severe...
I would recommend thinking of this less as an actual video and more as a bit of a podcast episode, where we basically just ramble about these ideas without much of a script and you can kind of just listen to it in the background. So now, without further delay...
Welcome to FNAF Theory tier list with Jack and Stick. This has been going swimmingly so far. Anyways, so let's just jump into it. Right. Theory number 1, Shatter Victim. What do we think of Shatter Victim?
Shitter victim.
Shitter. So for those uninitiated, firstly, I'd say you should go watch the Right Host video on Shatter Victim. Probably a good explanation.
It's mostly, specifically, like the Crying Child Soul are linked to the main 5 Freddy characters, and as Happiest Day comes along, those pieces are put back together, and his soul gets to pass on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, see, I didn't come up with a theory, so I want to say F, but I admit, Shatter Victim, for all the jokes that I make at its expense, it is a very solid theory. I think it's a really, concise way, or maybe not concise. It has a lot of little details to it, but it's a very good way, I think, to explain what the story is for the bite victim, what being broken means, and how he ties into Happiest Day.
Yeah, I think as well, a lot of the reason why I like it is because it works really well at explaining what the deal of the logbook is. It's obviously showing that there's a connection between the Crying Child and Golden Freddy, and a lot of people do think that it's also showing the Crying Child's name, whatever you think the Crying Child's name is. We're not getting into that for now. But yeah, I think it does a really good job at explaining why Cassidy would have access to these memories that, for as far as we know, she wouldn't really have much reason to know of. And Shatter Victim provides a really good explanation for that. It also provides a really good explanation for why the Happiest Day minigames appear the way they do. So I would say Shatter Victim, pretty good theory. You're gonna put in A tier, S tier. What do you think?
Since I don't believe it. Well, I don't believe the exact theory personally. I don't want to say S tier. Because S tier is reserved for theories I believe, but
I would put Shatter Victim I'd put it in S tier. I would say even if you don't believe it,
I would put it in S tier. It is a pretty good theory. Not even it's one that has seen a lot more I guess resurgence now, but it's a theory that has existed for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, and I'd say it certainly stood the test of time in terms of FNAF theories. It's quite good.
And when it comes to FNAF 4 related theories, that is a monumental
monumental achievement. It's not ended up like the likes of Dream Theory.
That everything we play through these games was created in the mind.
So yeah, Shatter Victim, our first theory, Shatter Victim is an S tier. So now, moving on to our second theory, this was a suggestion from YouTuber WitheredCircle. So this one is William is the green guy. So this is the idea that William is the green guy in Midnight Motorist.
S tier.
S tier theory. So I'm not too sure what the origins of this theory are. Are you knowledgeable on this in any way?
I'm not knowledgeable on why the theory exists. I'm not sure if it's a serious theory or not. Legitimately, it's in that nebulous state. I do know the two only bits of evidence I know of that exists.
So could you give me like an explanation?
Yeah, it's if you invert the green guy, his sprite becomes purple, and William speaks in yellow and blue in Free Maze, and if you mix those colors together, you get green. And that's it.
So WitheredCircle submitted us to this, like to give our thoughts before and after Five Laps of Freddy's, and I'd say I honestly wouldn't give it that much credibility before Five Laps of Freddy's, and I would say very, very unlikely after Five Laps of Freddy's. I'm not
before 5 laps and after the most obvious conclusion for who William could be in that minigame is the guy driving the purple car.
Don't you see? Don't you see? The tiny little yellow rabbit keychain is actually meant to prove that he was the footprints. He was the footprints. He was actually the one luring the kid away. We definitely weren't wrong, and we just don't want to admit it.
This checks out. I believe that.
So yeah, I would say, I would put this in like. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean because I do appreciate.
F.
No, I'm gonna put this in C because like here's the thing. I can see where the thought process came from. Like I can see the idea of like, okay, so if you invert the colors, it becomes purple, and if you mix these colors, it becomes green. I can see the thought process, but I think what it's lacking is like a narrative purpose. Like, why is the green guy William? What does that actually do for the story? What does that add in any way? Does that add anything meaningful? And in both like pre Five Laps at Freddy's and post Five Laps at Freddy's, I don't really see what this adds. So I'm gonna have to put it in like C tier. What do you think?
C tier? No, F. I'm still standing by that. F or D.
F or D. F or D.
It's not
okay.
good enough. It's not good enough to make it in C tier. I'm sorry. Making William the green guy cannot.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No. I tried. But yeah. No. This is going in D tier. I'm very sorry, WitheredCircle, and I genuinely do appreciate your I genuinely do appreciate your submission. So
I don't appreciate it. I will be finding you.
Oh no, don't be doing that. He's so mean. So the next one, this is another theory that wants us to like kind of get in the time machine and just forget the last few years of our knowledge. So let's talk about the idea that Henry is the phone guy, but this is like pre-FFPS, so this is pre-FNAF 6. I would say I have no idea why this exists. I don't know why.
The very premise of phone guy being Henry or phone guy being anyone associated with like the ownership of Freddy's kind of falls apart with the FNAF 2 phone call where he talks about trying to contact the owner of Fredbear's.
Yeah, like for one, that doesn't make any sense. And also, again, to kind of go back to what I was saying earlier, what does this add? This adds nothing.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of it adding to it is just like turning phone guy from being just an employee who is knowledgeable in how certain parts of the works to a guy that literally is part of running the company.
Yeah.
But even then, that's not exactly game-changing information. And after FFPS,
definitely not.
Now that Henry came in, I don't see how hard it would have been for Scott to just do those lines or have Henry not be.
Hey, as we saw with Into the Pit, he doesn't seem to be very interested in voicing phone guy anymore.
Well, that Into the Pit was after he got executed by the woke mob. You gotta recognize that.
No. I'm gonna say, Henry phone guy, D tier.
Yeah,
that's a D tier theory.
Sorry, Henry phone guy.
Sorry, Henry phone guy. Again, we do appreciate the submission, but yeah, no, I'd say not a great theory. Not a great theory. Now, next theory. The shorts books are canon. The shorts books are Tales from the Pizzaplex and Fazbear Frights. Anyways, so let's get into this jovial discussion.
I think yes. I think they are canon to the games.
I would agree, but I'd put a little asterisk on it.
Oh boy, here we go.
I would say my personal little take is just like if we look at the evidence, if we look at how Frights very directly links itself to the events of FPS through the epilogues, and we look at how Tales has made a lot of references to the events of the games, and now characters in Tales are crossing over into the games, and we've got a Mimic Origin Story game coming up, and we've got an Into the Pit game in existence. I would say, yeah, books canon probably. However, I would put them in a little category of, I'd say they're like soft canon. I wouldn't put them in the same like hard canon category as I would like the games, but I'd say they're soft canon in the sense of like, yeah, these events did happen, but they are subject to change, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, the Into the Pit game is same broad strokes as the Into the Pit book, but there are minor deviations. Like the story is longer, Oswald goes back into the ball pit more often. Like there are a few minor little changes, and I could see that maybe branching out into something a little bit more as these games go on. So, and I could see the same for like Secret of the Mimic. Like I could see Edwin showing up in Secret of the Mimic and that being the Mimic's backstory, but maybe a few things being switched around. Maybe a few events not taking place exactly the same way they did as illustrated in the books, but the same broad strokes being the same. What would you have to say about that?
I agree with this, but at the same time, the way I see it, I basically view that like mentality with pretty much everything in the series like on like the same level. Like any event or game in the series could have like some parts of it overridden by other parts of the series
Hmm.
that come out afterwards.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we've seen that in action several
Yeah, we've
times.
seen that happen quite a few times.
One of my favorite examples to bring up actually is most of Vanessa's story regarding what happens in FNAF AR is changed
Oh yeah,
or altered in Security Breach
yeah.
with
Like
things
I'm pretty
like
sure.
her.
If I remember correctly, like the one off the top of my head that I remember is like Lewis's role is changed. I'm pretty sure.
Not Lewis's role is changed, and not only is Lewis's role changed, Vanessa's position, her job is changed in a way that overrides basically a huge reason why Lewis exists in the story. Vanessa basically uses her connection with him to get like access to creating some fake credentials
Hmm.
through the IT network that lets her mess around with the robots.
Mhm.
And they're obviously they're fake credentials because she doesn't work in IT for Fazbear Entertainment in FNAF AR. But by the time of
In
Security
Security
Breach,
Breach.
they've switched that, and she does work IT. This isn't. I should specify. This isn't said specifically in the game. It isn't said in Security Breach that she works in IT. But prior to Security Breach's release, Steelwool actually did a little. It's a not really like well-known thing that they did, at least to my knowledge. They did a thing on Game Jolt. They created an official Vanessa Game Jolt account, like run
Oh,
by. Yeah, no, it was a scavenger hunt on Game Jolt that they did, where people could win like some free like some like stickers, and I believe there was and then they ran a giveaway for Security Breach when the game was actually coming out.
I did never
But
hear about
it
this.
it's it was really it was a really underground. I guess not underground, but just kind of unheard of because it was a thing that just happened on one website and then kind of just faded away.
Hmm.
But they made it had an official Vanessa Game Jolt account and an official Gregory Game Jolt account as well. The Gregory account, nothing really interesting about that. It was just kind of like he would message. It was part of the scavenger hunt to find his account and message him. But with Vanessa, it included some of her bio, like from her. It gave us her full name, as well as having her last name being A abbreviated, so Vanessa A. But then it also gave us her job position as an IT worker for Fazbear Entertainment.
Interesting. I think that kind of, I remember, I think it was John FNAF did a pretty good explanation of basically like how Illumix and Steelwool kind of had the same general broad strokes of the story, but they took it in very different directions, and that kind of resulted in what we have with AR currently. And I would agree with that.
Well, we don't have anything with AR currently.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, like where the story ended up. Yeah,
where the story. Yeah, because in FNAF AR story, Vanessa was always a security guard.
yeah,
But it makes a security breach makes a point that she had no prior training.
yeah. So I would say, yeah. Anyway, back to the whole thing about the books. So back to the book.
Overall point is we've seen the games override their own story multiple times. So I think with Fright it's just the same thing. It's no like there's no higher or lower tier of canon with them. It's just this is how the series has always kind of been.
Yeah. So I'd say that's like
A
an
or
A tier.
S.
I'd say that I put it in A tier. I put it in A tier.
A tier because Fright's if we just outright say that Fright's games is S tier, there are gonna people be crucifying us.
Also, Fright's games is not S tier because I don't necessarily think all the Fright stories are created equally.
Oh, that's because you're a coward.
Yeah, true.
You're
No.
not brave enough to engage with Phasgoo being canon.
No, I accept that fully.
Next theory.
I do accept the idea that Gregory is a Phasgoo clone of the Crying Child.
True.
I love. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I love the Undeniably Canon Timeline Part 3. I love it so much. It's so good.
We are not even halfway through what we're doing with the tier list, and we're already shilling a 1 day old video.
True. No. Next theory. The factory from Secret of the Mimic is Edwin's factory from Tales from the Pizzaplex. Thoughts on that?
That theory, I very much like. I like it. It's not a. It's admittedly it is not a theory in the sense that it's actually based on evidence.
It's more of a hypothesis.
It's one of those things like because we have no knowledge about what this game really is like aside from word of mouth and
like we don't even know. Like people say like it's really odd that this game isn't set in Fall Fest, and it's like we don't know that. We don't know that this game isn't set in Fall Fest. This could just be one of many locations that we play at. Like we don't know what this game is.
Yeah, there's so many things that we don't know about this game, but going off of at least the idea that we will be playing in this factory, it seems to be like kind of like partially a ground zero for things going wrong with the Mimic because
you've got Jackie going haywire there.
You have Jackie going haywire, and we know from what few images we do have from PAX that there seems to be other mascot costumes that the Mimic will be using in this factory because we have the camera feed that shows like silhouettes and stuff.
Like we have the elephant from Ruin. I believe we have the lion as well.
We don't know exactly what costumes it is that he's wearing. We just have like some like shadows, something like large humanoid shadows looming.
I believe one of the descriptions was they are the animals. Was like some of the costumes. There are more, but some of the costumes they are the animals from Ruin. But they have been remodeled. They look different.
Some of the costumes do show up, but like it's during the part where the Mimic is Jackie at that point.
Yeah. Or there is also the possibility that there are multiple Mimic Endos running around.
There is that possibility.
Because Tales from the Pizzaplex has shown us that there are multiple Mimic Endos. There's their original Mimic, and then there's a bunch of little other ones that he kind of just controls, it seems. Maybe? Question mark? It's unclear. It's unclear.
Very, very nebulous territory here.
Yeah.
But going off the idea, what we have with the game, we can at least say that we will probably be spending, if not the whole game, a very decent amount of time in this factory.
I don't
just
even
because
I
of
don't
how.
even know I don't even know about that because like we've only seen 2 levels so far, and they've been in the factory. There could be
We've only
countless other
sure.
different places. I wouldn't.
That's true. We have
I
seen
could totally see this segment of the game being like, but like if we're saying I would assume that like the manager's office level and the chase level are kind of set within the same bigger level. I would say they are set kind of within the same general stage of the game. So I could totally see there being like this being basically I could see this being like the night 3 of the game or whatever, and then like we just go through different locations throughout each night. Like I don't necessarily think this has to be the main location.
That's true. Sure, we only have like 2 bits of a level, but we do still have like all the camera feed that was shown off that seems to all show just different parts of
Oh
the
yeah. Oh
factory.
yeah, but like I think that I don't I think that's just because they were only showing off the factory stuff in
No,
that
I mean
yeah.
like stuff that like is beyond just like the chase and
Yeah, true,
this
true.
like so at the very least we'll spend like we'll be spending a sizable chunk of time
Yeah.
in the factory.
Because like
And
even if it is only one night, it's gonna be a long night, as we've seen many times before.
of course. But with what we have, we don't really have anything that I guess explicitly ties Edwin's former lace factory to the Secret of the
This
Mimic
one.
factory.
Yeah.
But the basic idea, I guess, of this theory is the Mimic was built in this factory that was at the end of the story, the ownership of the factory defaults to Fazbear Entertainment. They own the factory now. They own not just the things inside, they own the whole building. I guess the idea is that after the events of the Mimic, and after they somehow get the endoskeleton under control, they would have to completely remodel a lot of the factory to make it into this fully functioning giant costume animatronic cardboard cutout, whatever else the hell they're making,
Hmm.
factory that we see in Secret of the Mimic. But the main like allure of this theory is that it would give us a chance to physically like interact with things from the events of the Mimic. Like we could literally just wander into like an area of the game that is just David's bedroom or something like
Yeah,
that.
like you get like the tiger headboard on the bed. I believe that was one of the inclusions of David's bedroom.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could we could walk in, we could like just see like a storage room, and we see that we could see the remains of David's bed, or hell, we could
If
see David's tiger plushes. But the idea is it's not, as I said before, it's not really a theory based on evidence. It's more of a
yeah,
hypothesis.
I would say
It's an idea of where this could go, like how we could further tie in to learn, like we could learn in the games the secret of the Mimic by literally interacting with the place that it came from.
yeah, I would say I really like it, but in terms of evidence, I would put it in like C tier because like
Yeah, I
it's
solid C
not
tier because
it's not bad, but it's like we don't have enough to say if it's true.
it's not bad, and I would very much love for that to be the case, because that would be great. I would
Yeah,
love
it's
to
just very
be
clean.
able to see these things, but we
Just
don't know
feel
if it'll happen, and we don't have a strong reason yet to think it will.
Well, about that.
So for those of you unaware, this video has been in production for a non-important amount of time.
Jesus Christ!
And because of that, we've gotten some new FNAF content, namely an update to Help Wanted 2. This update largely serves as a teaser for Secret of the Mimic and does seem to confirm that Tales does take place within the game's continuity, but it also includes an interesting puzzle. The important part relating to this theory is that it includes this image. There's a building with some Fazbear related stuff, looks like it could be kind of a gift shop sort of thing, and there's a factory in the background. As many people have rightfully pointed out, given how much this update directly links to the Murray family through the Tiger Rock plush, there's a non-zero chance that the factory in the background of this image is Edwin's. There's also a possibility that the building is actually the renovated version of Edwin's old mansion that he used to live in with Fiona. So yeah, I'd say the chances of this being Edwin's factory is much higher now. Like, I'd say even likely at this point. But hey, we'll probably see in April of 2025, given what this update is implying.
Maxus is a precaution slash response. I'm gonna explain what
Yes.
that means.
Yeah.
I'm gonna explain what that means because that's kind of unclear for anyone watching. But we've kind of talked this over before. Um, Basically the general idea of it. So, in John FNAF's very good interview with Steelwolf, you should all go watch it. Um, J-Top details that Maxus was very intentionally designed to look old. It was designed to look like an old 70s like supercomputer, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's designed off of the Whopper from War Games.
yeah, it's very clearly like meant to like it predates Security Breach by a long time. Um, which is very fitting with the setting of everything in the Mimic's lair. Like you've got the Fall Fast costumes, presumably Fall Fast costumes,
Presumably Fall Flat, or it could be other properties.
or other properties, yeah. But you've got all that stuff. It's very clear. It's like an old ass building, and not a building, but you know what I mean. It's old.
Yeah, the whole
And
section there is very ancient. Like you can compare just even like the architecture to like how the upper levels of the pizzeria looks, and they are wildly different.
oh yeah, and no, and so the idea is Tales from the Pizzaplex, as well as Help Wanted 2, have given us a pretty good idea that something bad went down either at Fall Fest or something surrounding Fall Fest. And like Secret of the Mimic is kind of playing into this with the whole carnival imagery. It also does have Fall Fest imagery in Secret of the Mimic. We do have like Fall Fest posters sprinkled
Yeah,
around.
there were posters outside of the booth,
Yeah.
not
The
specifically. I don't believe in the
yeah,
game
the
itself.
only
In the
poster that I remember being in the game itself was the Fredbear's Spring Bonnie poster.
uh, that from word of mouth that we have, it was we so from the camera feed we see the Spring Bonnie poster.
Yeah.
Yes, but from word of mouth, apparently the other two Fredbear's posters were in it as well, plus
Okay.
the Sing and Show ticket.
Ah, I see. So that
Like
okay,
that,
that's fine.
like apparently that's like framed in like a photo, like in like a picture frame somewhere in the manager's office.
Interesting. But yeah, so basically we know that something kind of went wrong with the mimic and like the mimic endos that caused the mimic to kind of be, discontinued and sealed away. Not ne- No, I want to be clear here, not necessarily sealed away where we see it sealed away in ruin. There is a lot of evidence to support the idea that that was Gregory and Vanessa's doing. The mimic does not necessarily have to be trapped down there since the 70s, but the idea that I kind of came. I remember actually the way I came up with this was I was watching Rytost's live stream just before of John's interview came out, and I mentioned I think I said something to Rytost about how the reason that I found it hard to believe that Maxis was old was because a lot of the evidence that I'd seen for Maxis being old was because the little computer that you use to like access Maxis. That
Yeah,
is
it's an old computer.
it's an old computer, and that same model is used in parts and service in Security Breach. So I was like, that's an old computer, but it's also used in the Pizzaplex, so I don't think that's really good evidence. And then Ritos was like, yeah, no, I agree. But what convinces me is because Maxis looks like Whopper. And I was like, oh, I'd never actually heard of that. That's actually pretty good evidence. And then I suggested, hey, what if Maxis was maybe used as like some kind of way to stop the mimic at Fall Fest or as a precautionary measure after the events of the factory in the mimic to maybe like kind of keep it under control so they could use it during Fall Fest. And then the interview came out, and then I was like, and then J-Top basically confirmed that Nexus is old, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of more set on this now. So the idea that I have, and I've talked this over with you before, is that essentially Mexus Mexus is one of two things. Mexus is either a precautionary measure that was made by Fazbear Entertainment after the events of the factory went down, where the Mimic ambushed the two teams and killed all the workers. After that happened, maxus was created as a way to keep the mimic under control, because we see it used with the various different models throughout Fazbear locations in Tales, and that seems to be being carried over in Secret of the Mimic. So there had to be some way to keep the mimic under control after it went in like a murderous rampage. So either maxus is that precautionary measure, or B, maxus is the response to whatever happens in Secret of the Mimic. So let's like if the mimic causes the fire at Fall Fest or something else happens, whatever happens, that will probably result in the discontinuation of the mimic models that we see in Tales, and that is what is going to result in the creation of maxus. So maxus is going to be the thing that keeps the mimic. Essentially, maxus is what keeps the mimic at bay. That's the general idea. And then Gregory and Vanessa get a hold of it somehow, and then they use that to trap the mimic once again. That's the idea.
Yeah, I definitely want to lean more on the idea that it was some kind of response or precaution by Fazbear, because just the fact that they established that this is an old ass machine, I would definitely expect us to be seeing it
Oh,
in
100%.
Secret of the Mimic. So if it
100%.
exists during Secret of the Mimic, and at this point Mimic is doing his murderous rampage stuff, I would imagine that would mean that that this was some kind of thing at Fazbear made because of the Mimic doing this stuff to control it or contain it somehow. Because we know it can interface with technology. And
Either
I
that or
doubt
like either like Edwin or Henry made it or something.
Yeah, somebody smart made it. It's
Yeah.
built. It's designed to look like some old supercomputer.
Yeah. So I don't want to be too biased because this is my own theory, but I'm gonna put this in B tier because I wouldn't say we have a lot of evidence, but I'd say the evidence that we do have supports it.
Yes,
So
I
I'm
agree.
gonna put that in B tier.
Not so fast, buddy. As if Steelwool were playing some kind of cruel trick on me, we got more information from the Help Wanted 2 update. Whenever we enter the code 4625 into the Maxus machine found in the back of this van, the Maxus rabbit appears out of it and then the van speeds off. I'd say this pretty much all but directly confirms that Maxus is going to be involved in the events of Secret and the Mimic in some major way. As if that wasn't already obvious enough from the machine being old, but the more you know. This doesn't necessarily confirm anything about whether or not Maxus was a precaution or a response. But I don't really see what other options there are. I'm leaning more towards it being a precaution, but we'll certainly see. I think it was Righthost who recently floated around the idea of this cutscene of Maxus being in the future, or the present. Like whenever we have the AR mask on, we're being shown the past and the carnival, but then whenever we have it off, we're being shown the events of the present, with Gregory and Vanessa taking away the Maxus machine to use underneath the FPS location. Given the van's design, it does seem like something else from the 70s, but on the other hand, I think it would be kind of odd for the Maxus rabbit to even exist in the 70s, so I'm sure we'll find out one way or another. And now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Now moving on. So we're gonna get into the Bite of 87 now. Bite of 87. Everyone's favorite topic. So first things
What? I don't
first,
know why it's the topic still.
we're gonna discuss something that's been coming up recently. I've seen this coming up a lot recently. As the Withered Foxy did the bite,
Yep.
and
That
this seems to be coming from specifically the week before the interactive novel that released recently from Phone Guy's perspective. No, I can't remember the exact quote off the top of my head, but I believe it was something like, Foxy. Basically, it was something along the lines of, Foxy hasn't bit a kid before, but he's bitten adult before. He's bitten adult.
what I believe. Yeah, it's something along. Basically, what happens is Ralph is cornered in somewhere. I think it was the bathroom or in parts and service. One of the early nights, he gets cornered by Foxy, and before he's attacked, he thinks about how to his knowledge, Foxy has never bitten a kid before, with the kid thing being emphasized in the way that implies that it's specifically only children that Ralph doesn't know about him biting.
Yeah,
Which
which is funny. It's a funny line. I'll give it that. It's quite funny.
Ralph has a lot of funny
Oh yeah.
final thoughts before he dies.
If you haven't read The Week Before, read it.
Read it.
It's
Right,
good.
right.
It's quite good. And this is coming from me, who's always being a little Krampus about the FNAF books. The Week Before is good. It's very good.
Yeah. So the main premise of the theory is that Ralph basically outright says Foxy has been an adult before. The conclusion being, this must mean Foxy has done the bite of 87, which
on paper, that doesn't sound that unreasonable. On paper, it doesn't sound unreasonable.
it doesn't sound that unreasonable.
However,
it starts falling apart a little with under scrutiny.
Yeah, when it's like if we were just looking in the context of FNAF 1 and The Week Before, this seems pretty good. This seems pretty perfect. However,
if only those two things existed, done deal. Foxy
I think we would both agree that this kind of falls apart whenever you take into account some of the lines from Phone Guy in FNAF 2. Specifically the ones, I believe on the final night of the game. I believe it's on well, not the final night, because you have like Fritz's night.
Yeah,
but
night six, Jeremy, Jeremy, who's heavily implied to be the bite victim, just by general, it feels like he is.
Just general logic.
Jeremy is put on the day shift, and Ralph specifies that he should stay close to the animatronics because they've been the toy animatronics specifically, I should specify, not the withereds. They're rotting away in the back, and they don't move around during the day, to anyone's knowledge. He specifically says to stay close to the toys because they've been acting aggressive towards adults. And then right after we hear this call and finish the night, oh, look at that, they're getting scrapped after some kind of incident.
Specific, like the fact that the toys specifically are being scrapped is the big thing here.
Yes, that is a very big thing, because it doesn't. I don't see why they wouldn't just scrap Foxy if he bit a guy's head open in front of everybody.
I would put this in the same tier as like the William Green Man theory, because like I can understand it, and I would say it probably goes above the idea of like William being the green guy or whatever, because like it does make sense in like it does make sense in its own little bubble, but like if you look at it in the context of everything else, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, and actually another thing I want to throw out there, there are multiple allusions to the bite of 87. There's also like multiple like allusions to like being bitten in the frontal lobe related to other characters. Like Freddy in one of the endings goes for the frontal lobe on Ralph.
Yeah,
and then I think just in general the idea that like Foxy has bitten adults isn't exactly that damning, considering we know that in general these robots are aggressive to staff, and pretty much all of the jump scares in this series involve some kind of biting.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like a way that they attack. They have big jaws. Why wouldn't they use them?
There is another theory that I kind of want to give my 2 cents on, is that Jeremy Fitzgerald is Jeremy from Help Wanted. Oh boy. No, for the uninitiated, I do not like this theory. I am not a fan.
For the extra uninitiated, this theory is usually accompanied by other theories that make Jeremy from Help Wanted and Jeremy from FNAF 2 even more characters in the series, like
making them Cassie's dad.
Bully. It's basically taking 4 different characters, or I guess 3 different characters, if you really want to like say that Cassie's dad is absolutely the Bonnie Blue, which I agree with.
Which I would say, yeah, he almost certainly is. And if you're still denying it at that point, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
It's taking 3 characters that don't really have any deeper connections, and just kind of smushing them together into this freakish blob of a character that just has the weirdest arc I think I would have ever seen in my life.
And also, I think we're forgetting a pretty big aspect of why we don't like this idea.
And that aspect, of course, being Jeremy gets his head bitten out, presumably.
I think no, for all the non-medical students in the room, like me, I'm not a medical student, but I can still understand this. Not having a frontal lobe is kind of a big deal. It's
Yeah.
kind of a big deal.
And on top of that, we do get a direct reference in the week before.
The week before,
to
yes,
victim
in the week
of
before.
the victim of the Bite 7 is directly brought up by Ralph,
And what he states,
said to be catatonic. Like he
yeah,
doesn't
he
doesn't talk anymore. I believe the exact line is Ralph basically says like he didn't know why the animatronics that did the bite did it, and he said that he can't ask the victim because he doesn't talk anymore, or on top of that doesn't do anything at all anymore.
it has a mild adverse effect on any kind of aspirations to become a game tester.
Yeah, and just on top of that, like as we went over before, it is very likely that Jeremy Fitzgerald was the Bite of 87 victim. He was the guy that was told to stay near the robots. He was the guard. He is an adult. He is in all ways the perfect candidate. And on top of that, when you input the 1987 code into the phone in the week before, it will play one of the calls that
One of the
Jeremy
calls
heard.
from Phone Guy, yeah.
It's a trimmed down call in universe. It is edited, but it is specifically one of the calls that only Jeremy heard.
Yeah. I wonder what that could mean.
Yeah, so Jeremy is almost assuredly the 87 victim.
And also, just for anybody wondering, why 1987 specifically would be absolutely referring to the Bite of 87 and not just the year 1987. This is like in this like sequence where you can enter the number, you can also enter 1983, so it's very clearly linking to like the specific bytes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say this goes straight in F tier. I don't like this theory at all. This goes in F. This gets its, you know what? If I could, this would get its own little category called terrible.
I'm sure there's other theories on this list that are going to deserve their own that are more deserving of their own tier.
Oh, there is one.
None
There
other
is
than
one. The next theory. So this is the idea that the tangle of the blob is the storyteller, or at least is made up of parts from the storyteller.
Basically, basic concept is the storyteller. If you don't know, it was this project that Fazbear Entertainment tried in the Pizzaplex. It was basically what Disney's doing right now, trying to replace a lot of their creative team with an artificial intelligence. Specifically, they wanted to use the Mimic 1 program to
What could go wrong?
create all the stories, do all the stuff, that all the programs for the robots, all the games, controlling all the rides, basically putting every single aspect of creative decision into one machine.
Yeah.
And they called that the storyteller. And the idea was it was this giant platinum tiger head that the Mimic made that design itself. And it was encased within an enormous yellow tree that was placed in the middle of the Pizzaplex, and it had these roots that would stretch out, and in these roots were these massive cables that would stretch all throughout to every single corner of the building so that it would connect the storyteller to everything.
Yeah.
And once things start going wrong, like of course they would go wrong.
Who would have guessed that? Who would have guessed that using generative AI for everything would have caused a few issues?
Yeah. And as the big question that every single person who hasn't read the books keeps asking, where did the tree go? Why isn't there a big tree? They took it down.
Yeah.
They
this is not a theory. They explicitly say that they took it down.
Yeah. In the sequel story Tiger Rock, we see them in the process of taking the tree down, and what they had done at the time is they basically threw a giant white tarp over it, like it looked like a giant ghost tree, and they were just dismantling the whole thing from within.
So, anyways, the idea that like Again, this is the thing with like these theories. Not a terrible idea. I don't necessarily hate it. I just
Yeah.
not a lot of
So
evidence.
the main idea, the argument isn't that like the storyteller's silver tiger head or the giant tree itself became the tangle. The main
Yeah.
premise is that the mass of cables is specifically what became the giant mass of cables that we see in Security Breach.
Yeah, like we're not going to come out here and say that like the tiger head just mutated into Funtime Freddy for no reason. Like, no, that's not what happened.
No,
No.
the chances of the literal storyteller creature, like the actual like program of the storyteller being in that, I guess that is actually a big part of the theory. Actually, I don't think it is the main theory of the storyteller being the tangle isn't just that the wires contributed to the mass. I do believe it is partially that like the program is somehow related to this creature.
I believe the red eyes were a big sticking point for a lot of people.
Yeah, the red eyes. Why the red eyes again? Oh right, yeah, because the storyteller has the heterochromic blue and green eyes.
No, what? No. It's because you know the way in the trailer. I believe this wasn't even included in the final game, but like in the trailers for Security Breach.
Oh right. In the trailer, the robot's eyes glow red.
Yeah, the
Yes.
eyes glow red. Yeah, I believe
The idea that
Monty's still glow red. I think Monty's still glow red.
Monty's like light up red when like he dips his like glasses down during his boss fight.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
Monty already has just red eyes in general. Like his eyes are naturally red.
So it's kind of a weak point. Kind of a weak.
And
also
all the Glamrock endos just by default, and actually I guess all the endoskeletons in the series, I believe, just have red eyes.
I would say this basically goes in. If I could make a category between like C and D, I'd put it here.
I think just put it in C. I get the premise is that like I get the idea of it, but if you really boil it down, it's basically just these wires are these wires.
Pretty much, yeah. I am personally a lot more partial to the idea that the like mangled mess of endoskeleton parts and bodies from the Tales from the Pizzaplex epilogues ended up becoming the Tangle. I am a lot more kind of on board with that idea. So yeah, no, I'm gonna put Tangle as the endopile in A. I think that's good. I think it's a good theory.
I would put it in B just because it's a theory that's got credibility, but it doesn't account for everything.
Yeah, true. Okay,
Which,
yeah, no,
to be fair, I don't think any theory currently exists that accounts for everything about the Tangle because it is so bizarre.
Shrouded in mystery. Now, we're gonna cover Gregory is a robot. I was gonna put.
I love Gregbot.
You see, this is the thing with Gregbot. I think it's terrible, but I kind of love it. I kind of love it.
I can't describe in words the feelings I have for this theory.
It's such a theory. It's such a theory. It's the kind of harebrained conspiracy that only MatPat could come up with.
Yeah, and it is ultimately just built on the foundation of this is a brown-haired white kid with a striped shirt. Yeah, no, that is basically the core of the theory.
The thing about Gregory Bot as well is that it's kind of useless. Like, what does it change? It changes nothing.
No, yeah. I'm sure in a universe where the story was actually about Afton, it would have meant something, maybe. Probably not.
Probably not.
The thing about Gregbot, and I'm so sad that like Gregbot like basically died behind like a chemical shed before I could ever get this question asked. Is where the hell does he come from under this theory? Like,
there are a lot. It really depends on like what variation of Gregbot you're talking about. Some people think William built him. Some people think Michael made him. Some people think Henry made him for some reason.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, none of these really make a lot of none of these options work Because if William built him, what the hell? This guy, Gregory, has been a kid for decades.
How many years? How many years? Like, did he
Well,
just suddenly gain consciousness like 5 minutes before security
yeah,
breach?
under the idea that he was built by William, the only two options are either Gregory has been a kid for decades and just either never noticed it or never thought that was a relevant detail
Or
to
like
bring up.
his memory just like factory resets every year.
Yeah, that, or he just miraculously came online during the events of security breach and also never addressed the fact that he has no history.
Yeah, and like
There's that.
there's that.
Or
If
the idea
Henry
that
made
Henry
him,
built him,
if
which has
Henry
the
built him,
same issue, just a
it,
slightly
it
lessened
no,
time gap.
I would say it has the same issue, and it also has the issue of why is Henry building a replica of William's son?
Is that. And then
Yeah,
Michael, I don't think Michael knows how to build a robot.
I don't think Michael is like smart enough to do that.
I don't think Michael is an active enough character to do this.
I don't think he cares enough to do it.
Yeah.
He's got bigger things to do. He's a corpse. He's got more things to worry about than building Gregory.
Yeah, no,
And as
Gregbot
well,
as a whole is just, it's a bad theory.
you've also got like the issues of this is almost a given for every human robot theory in FNAF. Like what is making it what makes him conscious? Because like
Yeah,
a lot of people
every
a lot
human
of people
robot
don't
theory
just
ignores how human robots work.
I'm gonna like brief explanation here for people who don't know how human robots work in FNAF because a lot of this is brushed over a lot. Charlie in the books, she's not an AI. She is not an AI. She's not like a sentient AI. That's not what Charlie is. Essentially, what powers like the human robots like Charlie is there's like this there's a doll. It's a doll. Essentially, Henry filled this doll, which used to belong to Charlie, his daughter. After her death, he filled this doll with so much agony and so much pain that it came to life. It came to essentially he created an artificial soul for his daughter, and the doll houses that artificial soul.
I mean, it's not even
Um,
really an artificial soul. It's just
it
straight
it,
up a
it
part of
just
him. It's just
it
like
just
he put a
yeah,
part of his soul into this doll that he cried a bunch into,
and
and
that
he
so
uses that.
and that basically turned into its own being, its own entity. It basically just became an entirely separate entity from Henry. It just
Yeah,
became another Charlie. Um,
another Charlie. Oh no.
Oh no, 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 no. We're not. We are. I am not. I am far too sober to get into another David right now. No, we're not getting into that. But no, I would say,
Yeah, the main problem with all human robot theories is it doesn't account for
yeah.
the
I
artificial
mean, like,
soul.
I guess like the thing that you could say would be like, oh, the Fredbear plush, but like, where's the evidence for that? There's not really
Not,
any evidence to suggest it.
not only where's the evidence for that, but the last time we see it, it's
It was
just
in
chilling
sister
in Afton's
location.
lab.
Yeah, it was in sister
And
location.
Afton, and by the time of sister location, Afton is either spring locked or about to be spring locked.
Yeah.
So he has
So
he doesn't really have the chance to build this robot. And
and
on
like
top of
Michael
that,
and Michael can't do anything because Michael is about to die in like 5 seconds.
yeah, Michael gets his organs scooped out, and he never
Yeah.
is never canonically given an ability to access the private room.
And like
So he
and
wouldn't even know
then
the
the
room was
only other option that remains is Henry. And in that
there, who
case,
still has all those issues of why would he do
yeah,
that?
why would he build this? And also, why would we never get any indication that he took this? Because like we see he is the blueprints of the scooper and all that. Why wouldn't he have like, oh, here's a picture of the Fredbear plush or something? I don't know.
I love the implication that Henry he rebuilds William's son, gives him free will and sentience, and then just offs himself without leaving anything behind for this kid.
Also, yeah,
It's
that Gregory being a robot fails to account for the fact that in GGY he seems to have like a normal family life, and also Security Breach makes direct reference to the fact that he has a normal family life.
Yeah, yeah.
How did this kid just like become a normal member of society without like
He just
without anyone to serve as like his Aunt Jen figure, basically?
yeah. 'Cause the only reason why Charlie was able to like exist through into like her young adulthood is because she had somebody who knew what was going on. Like
Yeah,
Charlie,
she had Jen.
no, like if like let's say Gregory just like got adopted by some random like normal human family and he was a robot the whole time, everything would have fallen apart the moment they took him to the doctors once.
Yeah, like
Because there's a subtle running thread throughout the trilogy of
yeah,
Charlie having like an avoiding hospitals, Aunt Jen like instilling this idea that she doesn't need to go to the hospital,
yeah,
which
because
is really
robot.
without the knowledge that she is a robot.
It's really bizarre.
It's
It's
really
really
fucked up that Jen is just like, oh yeah, kid, you don't need to go to the hospital. You're fine. How much blood did you lose? Now you're fine. You don't need a hospital.
it's really it's really it's really bizarre reading the trilogy for like the first time and seeing that.
Jen is so lucky that like there is no child protective services in the FNAF books.
No, as we all know, in FNAF, two things don't exist. In FNAF, child protective services don't exist, and paramedics don't exist.
That's right.
So
I think
Gregory,
we said enough
that
to
goes
put
in
Greg
F
Bot
tier. That goes in
yeah,
F tier.
straight to F,
F,
to the bottom of F.
straight. Yeah, no, that it goes in the bottom right corner of F. It doesn't even get to touch Jeremy being help wanted Jeremy. Straight to the bottom. Okay, no. But it gets to be unique as well. It's unique in the sense that we do kind of love it. We do kind of love it. So next theory. This is kind of going into like this is specifically Glitchtrap territories. This is specifically like
Oh, this will be fun.
identity of Glitchtrap. So first things first, we'll just say straight out, Glitchtrap is Mimic 1.
Yes, we will say that outright. Glitchtrap is Mimic 1.
And I'd say like, okay, so like theory wise, I'd say let's just like define our parameters here. For the theory of Glitchtrap is Mimic 1, we're just going to say that this theory is that Glitchtrap is just Mimic 1. It is Mimic 1, like, as we see it in Ruin, it's as we see it in, like, the Tales books. There is no William in there whatsoever. There is no identity of what, there's no idea that you are William in there whatsoever. It is just Mimic 1 copying William for the sake of it. That's it. So that's what we're going to define as that parameters of this theory. So I would say right now, I would put this in C tier. I would put this personally. I'd put this in C tier because I don't think it's that simple. I really don't think it's that simple.
That's so boring. Why can't you just take like a very specific stance and be super defensive over it?
True. Why can't you just be stubborn and never change your opinion? True.
No, seriously, it's so much more fun if you stop like having the like idea of like accepting other people's ideas and just believe you're right.
True. But yeah, I would say, especially after the Into the Pit game, I am very much of the belief that there is a lot more to Glitchtrap than just like, oh, Mimic 1 is copying William. I think there's a lot more to it than that. I don't think it's as simple as just like Mimic is copying William. I really do think that, like, especially with Help Wanted 2 as well, because like, you have all the memory plushes from Glitchtrap of like, the missing kids. It's like, no, there's definitely more going on here than just like Mimic 1 is and then Glitchtrap dies. Glitchtrap fucking dies in Help Wanted 2. Like, there's clearly a degree of separation going on here. Well, would you agree? Like, joking aside and all that, would you agree that there is a degree of separation between the Mimic that we see in Ruin and like Tales and the whatever strand we see?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that there's a difference between the mimic as like the specific character, first name the last name mimic, that guy,
Yeah.
and the character of Glitchtrap. I don't believe that there's a separation in what code they run. However, I think that they are both
I agree. I agree.
the mimic. They are the Mimic One program.
Yeah, like I don't think there is any reality where you can say that Glitchtrap is just his entirely own thing. Like there are too many connective things. Like obviously, first and foremost, Glitchtrap copies voices, da but also
I think bigger than just Glitchtrap copies voices.
you've got the stuff in the storyteller as well.
There's stuff in the storyteller, but the shout out to Entom predicting basically the entirety of what this story was about.
Yeah, true. But like
But
the main thing that I'm referring to is like the fact that pretty much everything that the mimic causes the Glamrocks to do in the storyteller is reflected by what Glitchtrap causes the Glamrocks
yeah,
to
they
do in
basically
Security
have
Breach.
they have the same kind of way of
Impact.
interacting with things, just
Yeah.
in like slightly different ways. Like one of them's an evil rabbit.
Yeah, true.
But I think another big thing is there's a lot of like there's a very strong visual connection because of the fact that they specifically went out of their way to give Glitchtrap a mascot costume design.
Yeah.
And
There is that
with what
you
we've
know,
seen in the
fabric.
series, like the whole idea of these like fabric like 1-2 piece mascot costumes is
Yeah.
that they're very strongly tied to the mimic. Like this is a very new
Stitched
type of
together, that whole
design
thing,
that we've
yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
We've never seen suits like this before in the series, and it is telling that it's only now with the mimic that we're getting them.
Yeah. Like I absolutely agree. Like Glitchtrap is definitely spawned from Mimic One, I would say I would say that's a good definition of it. But to say that Glitchtrap solely is Mimic One with no real like separation going on, I think that's kind of silly. So I would put that in like C tier, but like it's like it's like good C tier, I suppose. It's like it's not bad.
Yeah, maybe
But
B
no,
tier.
maybe B. I wouldn't be that generous because I'd say there's still like more to it than that. But I'd say moving on, I'm not gonna give this like a title yet. I'll give it a title later. But I kind of just like want to get into generally the idea of this. So the Into the Pit game changed a lot for me in terms of how I think about Glitchtrap and how I think about I'm gonna call him like Pit Bonnie in terms of like how I think about Pit Bonnie and how I think about Glitchtrap because in the Into the Pit book, Pit Bonnie is kind of just like he's basically like a rabid dog essentially. He doesn't really seem to have any real motive. He doesn't really seem to have much direct character. He just kind of
Big disagree. He has a very specific piece of characterization, which
which
straightens
is
out his bow tie when he first comes out of the ball pit.
oh true. He's a fashionable boy. He's a fashionable boy. I wish they did that in the game. That would have been so funny.
No, they just like do like one of the, like they do like those super detailed close-ups, but it's just for like a few seconds of him just adjusting his bow tie, and then it cuts back like immediately back to like the far away style.
Yeah. Side tangent. So yeah, in the book, he doesn't really do. He's basically just a rabbit animal. It's one of my actual issues with Into the Pit, like generally, like not even. Wait a second. One minute.
So, anyways, there's gonna be carnival news tomorrow. They're gonna do.
So, anyways, now that we've cleared up that there will be absolutely no carnival news tomorrow, getting back into like the idea of like Pit Bonnie's characterization, there's a very big difference between how he's presented in the book and in the game. Because I think the main point, he has voice lines in the game. And as like, muddled up as they are in gameplay, they are decipherable and they do have like subtitles in the audio files. Like he literally says like I always come back. He says like, oh, let's have fun or whatever, that sort of thing. he has more of a character. I think, yeah, I was talking about this earlier, but I think one of the issues for me with like Into the Pit, like I think it's a really good game. I think it's a decent story, but my big issue is like there's not like what is Pit Bonnie's goal? Like what's he doing really? What's the point?
And that's something we never really get to learn in either the book or game.
Yeah, because like basic rundown is basically he just like he shows up, he like traumatizes Oswald with the kids. He steals his dad. He repeatedly tries to kill Oswald at night, but he doesn't want to kill him in the day, and he's posing as his dad. And then he tries to kill him again, and then he dies. And we really don't know what he was doing, and it's very odd. I'm sure in like Scott's insane mind, there is some rational explanation for what's going on, but like,
I think the main idea of what we should be looking at is that he's clearly trying to like assume a normal person's life, which is like I think like the
yeah,
core of what he's doing.
yeah.
Yeah, I just realized what even is the theory we're discussing? You never actually said.
Basically, the idea that we're discussing is so Pit Bonnie, as presented in Into the Pit, is basically just William. He is basically just William. He has William's like characterization. I think one of the ones that you pointed out before, and something I really like, is in Night 5 specifically, one of the dialogue options, one not options, one of the pieces of dialogue that can appear on the loading screen is like all of you will pay, um,
Yeah,
which is
that
very
combined with one of his voice lines of where he says that he will make Oswald suffer like he's suffered.
yeah.
Like, it's very much
That's
evoking that silver eyes Afton of someone who's perceived himself as like beaten
a cornered
down
rat.
and abused by everything else.
Yeah, like one of the specific instances where that is called out in the Silver Eyes is like referring to William as like a cornered rat, being like beaten down by the world, who's lashing out now because he thinks the world owes him his sick pleasures or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, everything around him to him is basically every horrible thing he does is deserved.
justified. Yeah. Um, Well, I don't even necessarily. I don't know. I said justified, but I think you saying deserved is probably better because William like knows that what he's doing is bad, but he thinks it's fine because he's like, okay, yeah, I understand this is bad, but like they deserve it, so it doesn't matter. I think that fits better with like William's characterization.
Yeah,
But
but I think
um,
on the
but no,
topic with the idea,
I think one of the biggest like pieces of supporting evidence for this is like how Pet Bonnie reacts to the photo of William and Henry. It's very like very violent reaction. Not happy about it whatsoever. Very William doesn't like Henry. For those of you who didn't clock on just yet.
yeah, no, it's he's basically just a more monstrous William. Like I don't
He,
think the real like he definitely takes on a lot more of like a feral nature. Like he's not I don't think William is the type of guy to like start like roaring at a child, like literally like just go like complete wild animal and just start screaming at things.
I think one of the ways it was either one of the ways that I described it or one of the ways that like Eva described it to me in a conversation was that Pet Bonnie is essentially just William without the humanity. William is just he's basically what William wanted to be. He's just William without any of his humanity to hold him back.
Yeah, without what humanity had really.
Yeah, what little humanity he had. Yeah.
He's
Um,
he's not he's not he's not exactly I guess the same exact character as William, but he is to the point of the only real difference is that he's more monstrous William.
yeah, I would basically just say he is William. But like if you remove his humanity, he's like William dilute, I guess.
Yeah, and that basically makes sense for what he is. He is a
Yeah.
kind of h- horrid, twisted memory version of how basically his victims and how the people around him would have seen this murder. They would have
Yeah.
seen this yellow. It's all they really have is it's this yellow rabbit that this guy in a yellow rabbit costume that murdered these kids, and it in this memory world, it's been twisted into him just being a genuine monster.
No, I do think it goes a little beyond just like the way I've seen some people describe it is that Pit Bonnie is basically just like the memory of the kids, like the kids' memory of William and the public's memory of William. And I agree that's a factor, but I do think it goes a little beyond that because, of his reaction to Henry, the photo of William and Henry. There is clearly a bit of William's personality in there, things that only William would know. So I think there is definitely a good bit of William in there, along with like the memory of his actions. I really do think that Pip Bonnie is basically just William uninhibited. So yeah, essentially, Pip Bonnie has changed the way that I view William, or not necessarily William, but Glitchtrap, because Pip Bonnie, as we already went over, he's basically got all the characteristics of William, and to me, I think that shows that William was kind of right in saying I always come back, because if the agony is strong enough, if the memory of these events is still potent, he will kind of, in some way, always come back. It might not necessarily be the same like soul or whatever, if we can even say for certain that souls even exist in FNAF, or if it's all just kind of like memories and remnant and whatever. But it's the same personality, it's the same memories, it's the same motive. It's basically just the same guy. So it essentially is William just coming back. And I think that's kind of what Glitchtrap is. I think with Help Wanted, with Fazbear Entertainment bringing back all the memories of these tragedies and, you know, the horror of all that and the agony that comes with it, I think they kind of like inadvertently brought William back. I think that agony, like by bringing these events back to the forefront, they quite literally brought the agony back into the game. The agony was built into the code of the game. And I think that agony started to infect the Mimic 1 code that was in the game. And I think at a certain point, that agony stopped just being agony and it basically just started being William again. And that's how you get Glitchtrap. You get to a point where the agony stops being agony and starts just being William again. It stops just being a piece of code that is like infected by the memory of William and is kind of learning from that, and it basically just starts being William again. It stops just being the mimic. It starts being William. And I think that's essentially what Glitchtrap is. So yeah. I'm gonna put that down as like Glitchtrap is William reborn via Mimic One. I'll say that. So what do you think? What do you think? Essentially, I think the way that I'd like put it very simply is that the only difference that I'd say there is that Pit Bonnie, the conduit for which he was kind of born was the ball pit, and with Glitchtrap, the conduit through which he was born was like Help Wanted and the Mimic, or Mimic One, I should say. That's the only real difference, I'd say. And also that Pit Bonnie is basically just like an imprint of 1985 William, whereas Glitchtrap is like just all of William. So yeah, that's it. That's basically
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think we put that in F.
Oh. God damn it. God damn it.
I think probably A tier.
A tier. Yeah, I'd say A tier. I think that's basically what Glitchtrap is. He's not quite the mimic, and he's not quite the mimic, and he is quite William, but he's not exactly one or the other. There is a little bit of overlap. But yeah, no, I think that's good. And now we have another theory. This is a very recent theory. Tom just recently put Tom, the FNAF YouTuber and
And
FNAF Twitter guy.
the person who is the mimic, and Tom is the mimic.
Tom's the mimic, yeah. The person who basically predicted the mimic, the mimic's role in the story, recently came up with a theory, called How They Met. So Tom's How They Met. Have you now, to cover some ground, have you seen this theory? Have you watched this?
I told Tom that I would have watched. I would watch the video today.
Did you?
No.
For anyone watching who has not seen the video, go watch it. I don't want to just steal Tom's content here.
I do. I would very much like to steal Tom's content.
Yeah, because you're evil. As I said, you're my evil sidekick. I would say this is like a solid B tier theory. I'd say it's good. I don't. It's good. There's not really a lot of evidence to say it's for sure, but I can see the thought process. I can see how we got here. Basically, the idea for the uninitiated is that William and Henry their relationship started as William was a magician, working in Fallfest, and Henry was working with the singing show. Henry's first business venture was the singing show. Williams was as a magician. And of course,
it's funny because this is just completely pilfered from an AU that I wrote a couple of years ago.
And this is also it is shockingly similar to one of Matt Pat's old videos.
No, that's going too far. That's mean.
No, it is. It's quite similar. I genuinely don't think it was copied at all. I just find the similarities very funny, given how critical we can be about MatPat compared to how critical we can be of people who are more considered to be like, oh yeah, no, we like this guy. That's not to say this theory is bad. It's not. I'm putting it in B tier for a reason. But yeah, no, the theory is basically okay, so William and Henry's origins. That's how they met. William was an unsuccessful magician, and then he partnered up with Henry, which is there's a few jumps you have to make to get there. But I can see.
And admittedly, Tom has admitted that this is there is a lot of speculation behind this one.
Yeah, it's a very speculative theory, and that's not speculation is not bad. Speculation does not a bad theory make. Would you like to explain the rest of this? Because I'm currently kind of blanking on the rest of this.
I would love to explain the rest of this theory that I have not seen.
Go ahead. You know the broad strokes. Go on.
Anton, if you see this video, I'm so sorry. I will watch it. I swear to God.
He's not. He's lying. He's lying. He won't.
Please don't send your little minions to kill me. I know you can do that.
the Talbert group.
You don't want to make a promise to Tom and then not fulfill it. Happened to a friend of mine once. They actually got turned into a pretzel. It was ridiculous.
A meat pretzel?
No, like an actual pretzel. They got put into a pretzel press with all the other stuff and just mixed in.
Oh damn! It's like Pizza Kit.
It was yeah. Okay, yeah, no, but there is actually some stuff I can add on to this about the theory, because there is some stuff that Tom has posted on their Twitter following up to this stuff. He thinks that. Okay, I want to put this theory in F actually.
Okay.
No. This theory, I've just realized, it's building off of an older theory that Tom originally had, involving the nightmares being somewhat related to Fallfest.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Never mind, this is going in F.
No. The idea what they're saying, Tom thinks that they believe that the illusion gas that Afton uses for his experiments may have originally been something that he incorporated into his magic axe.
That's kind of cool.
But I will say I like it a lot more than the idea that the nightmare animatronics were an actual Fallfest horror attraction.
I agree. Yeah, I don't like that idea much.
And basically, is that Afton using some kind of illusion-based thing for his tricks would evolve into him using illusion discs and gas for his experiments.
The only thing that I don't like about it is that it does kind of take away from, well, in general, this is kind of true regardless, given that the Charlie bots don't exist in the games, or at least we don't ever get any indication that they exist in the games.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and in the
like
books,
in the
the
books,
illusion discs are
Henry
very
was
much
the one.
Henry's idea.
Yeah, the illusion discs were very much Henry's ideas, and
Although
William
we do
stole that.
know in the game's timeline, the illusion technology is still invented at some point in time because Phasma
Yeah.
Entertainment uses it.
Yeah,
For-
like it is still invented at some point, but like we've only ever seen William use it with the nightmares. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, and another big thing, actually, I think one of the main reasons why this theory kicked off, in Security Breach, one of the many partially explained, mostly unexplained things in that game, is the staff bot table.
yeah, like William's represented by a magician. That's one of the
Yeah, the
big
staff bot
things.
table, it very visibly, for those who haven't seen this thing get brought up in a bazillion theories, the staff bot table, it is a table with staff bots that are all arranged in a way that alludes to the Afton family. There is
Yeah, headless
a
boy,
headless bot,
a baby.
literally circus baby,
You've got
and then
a pizza guy worker.
Yeah, server bot, a female staff bot, the nanny bot with purple dress and blue hair,
With a vague
and
resemblance to Ballora.
vague resemblance to Ballora, and then the last one is just a magician,
Which
and
is
just
William.
by process of elimination, that would be William.
Either that or William is the Ballora one and Mrs. Afton's the magician. And I don't think
Somehow I doubt that.
I don't think we want to go down that rabbit hole.
Evil option, the magician is actually a fourth kid that we've never heard about, and it's Cassidy Afton.
Evil option. Michael was never the FNAF 4 brother.
You're right. He was the bite victim.
Oh, true. He was the bite victim. Yeah, we're not getting into Mike victim today. But no. I feel like there are. I do think we are leaving things.
For the theory
I think we are leaving things out about. I think we are definitely leaving things out about this theory.
We definitely are. So I think keep it in C tier so that we could just say that we put it there because we were uninformed.
Yeah, I'm gonna graciously put it in B for now.
All right.
I'm gonna graciously put it in B. Well, actually, okay. If I'm judging it, I'm going to. Okay, I'm gonna say this is Antom's how they met, but I'm going to say we're only judging it off the idea of like William is a magician and Henry was like, the singing show guy in Fall Fest. I'm gonna put that solidly in C tier because I think it's a good idea. I just don't know if there's enough to back it up. But I think it's a good idea. And I think it could be cool. And it could be true. It could be true. Now, the next one is a bit more controversial. We're gonna talk about Dave. We're gonna talk about Dave Afton. We're gonna talk about crying child name discussion.
No.
Crying child name discussion. We love it. We love it.
I'm ending it. End the video. End the video.
No, I have a big disagreement with you on this. I don't know. I have made myself very clear on this. I do not think the crying child's name is Dave. I don't think we know the crying child's name. And I don't think we ever will know the crying child's name.
It's Garrett. It's Garrett, guys. Don't listen to his lies.
No, don't get me wrong. Garrett is my preferred interpretation. But we're never going to actually get that confirmed. That's never going to be confirmed. It's never going to happen. But here's the thing. I would put Dave Afton in B tier. I think it's quite good. I think it is.
Why though?
I think it is the second best option you're ever going to get for a crying child name.
I'd take Norman over this.
I wouldn't, Because Norman doesn't have any evidence. This has evidence.
No. Norman had evidence. It wasn't good evidence, but it had
No,
evidence.
it wasn't good. Yeah, it had evidence, and it was the name of the person who like made the model of the bedroom, put their name on the thing or whatever.
No, it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. It was that the assets that Steel will use for the bedroom was 3D recreations of stuff from Psycho. Literally, the Norman was Norman Bates.
Oh, I see. Well, no. But anyway,
I can see the crying child growing up to be Norman Bates.
true. But no.
But no, I this is where I'm gonna heavily disagree with you. I don't care much for the Dave theory. I should specify this isn't against Dave. The Dave theory is more against every theory that involves the Foxy grid.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something nice there about how you don't have anything against Hyperdroid, but then I forgot you're an asshole. So
No, no, Hyperdroid's great. Hyperdroid's amazing. I love him.
yeah, Hyperdroid's lovely. We love Hyperdroid here.
Yeah. No, I just want to steal all their.
Go check if you haven't. Go watch every Hyperdroid video right now.
Do that. Do watch all Hyperdroid's videos. Very good stuff. But I disagree just fundamentally with the use of the Foxy grid for the crying child's name, at least as it's being done right now by all theories.
Yeah.
Because every solution I've seen for the Foxy grid that has it be about the crying child's name has the same issue of nothing really connecting the clues and the grid together. It's like we have a grid and we're like, okay, this must mean something.
Yeah, you
so
have the ABC.
We take everything that every little thing that we find, we take that and like, okay, can we just fit this in? It's very much like trying to fit everything into the square hole.
She's so goofy. She's goofy. I'm sorry, can you
gotta
repeat
stop
that?
going silent. You gotta stop going muted.
No, I know.
What I'm saying is it's all these theories. It's taking something that we can like assume it has a mystery to it. We can assume the Foxy grid is meant to tell us something, but we don't know what, and as a result, anything that we find that we can't immediately explain, we're gonna say, okay, this fits into the Foxy grid.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Cassidy code, there have been actual ties between the word search and all the codes, because the word search's whole thing is presenting a question of what is your name, who are you, and then from the altered text, only for the faded text, all the clues towards Cassidy's name being prefaced with the writing of my name. Every little bit of that links back to the response question. It's what is your name, my name, and then Cassidy. Whereas with the Foxy grid, nothing really says that you should be using the altered responses. Nothing says it's like you could use the altered responses, you could use the tally marks, you could use any plethora of things. You could shine a flashlight. You could shine a flashlight through
that is
some of the
generally
pages.
why I don't really believe any of the crying child name theories. One, because
the only crying child theory I like is Nate Feist, because it's fucking stupid.
Feist. No, I actually did. I cannot remember what my explanation was. I have too much rattling around my brain for me to remember some of these things. But I did post an explanation for why I didn't believe the Dave thing at the time, and I'm gonna try and find that now. Now, the next one is a bit more controversial. We're gonna talk about Dave Afton. We're gonna talk about crying child name discussion.
No.
Crying child name discussion. We love it. We love it.
I'm ending it. End the video. End the video.
I do not think the crying child's name is Dave. I don't think we know the crying child's name. And I don't think we ever will know the crying child's name.
It's Garrett. It's Garrett, guys. Don't listen to his lies.
No, don't get me wrong. Garrett is my preferred interpretation. but we're never gonna actually get that confirmed. That's never gonna be confirmed. It's never gonna happen. But here's the thing: I would put Dave Afton in B tier. I think it's quite good. I think it is
Why
the
though?
I think it is the second best option you're ever going to get for a crying child name.
I'd take Norman over this.
I wouldn't, because Norman doesn't have any evidence. This has evidence.
No. Norman had evidence. Norman had evidence. It wasn't good evidence, but it had
No,
evidence.
it wasn't good. Yeah, it had evidence, and it was the name of the person who like made the model of the bedroom, put their name on the thing or whatever.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. It was that the assets that Steel will use for the bedroom was 3D recreations of stuff from Psycho. Literally, the Norman was Norman Bates.
Oh, it's
I don't care much for the Dave theory. I should specify this isn't against Dave. The Dave theory is more against every theory that involves the Foxy grid.
yeah. I thought you were going to say something nice there about how you don't have anything against Hyperdroid, but then I forgot you're an asshole. So
No, no. Hyperdroid's great. Hyperdroid's amazing. I love him.
yeah, Hyperdroid's lovely. We love Hyperdroid
I,
here.
yeah. No, I just want to steal all
Go
their
check if you
fans.
haven't. Go watch every Hyperdroid video right
Yes,
now.
do that. Do watch all Hyperdroid's videos. Very good stuff. But I disagree just fundamentally with the use of the Foxy grid for the crying child's name, at least as it's being done right now by
Mm.
all theories.
Yeah.
Because every solution I've seen for the Foxy grid that has it be about the crying child's name has the same issue of nothing really connecting the clues and the grid together. All these theories is taking something that we can like assume it has a mystery to it. We can assume the Foxy grid is meant to tell us something, but we don't know what, and as a result, anything that we find that we can't immediately explain, we're gonna say, okay, this fits into the Foxy grid.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Cassidy code, there have been actual ties between the word search and all the codes, because the word search's whole thing is presenting a question of what is your name, who are you, and then from the altered text, only for the faded text, all the clues towards Cassidy's name being prefaced with the writing of my name. Every little bit of that links back to the response question. It's what is your name, my name, and then Cassidy. Whereas with the Foxy grid, nothing really says that you should be using the altered responses. Nothing says it's like you could use the altered responses, you could use the tally marks, you could use any plethora of things. You could shine a flashlight.
One of the main things for me was just like generally the same issue that I have with the Evan thing, which is that linking "I'm scared" with "Do you have dreams" is a massive stretch. And
I mean,
does he still
I can't
talk
say I'm
to you?
surprised.
Linking "Does he still talk to you" with "I can hear sounds" is also a big stretch.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised that that the flaw somehow traces back to the Evan code, because that is basically what the Dave code is built off of.
Yeah, like I would say.
It's basically just like
Here's the thing for me.
trying to course correct that.
Like, here's the thing for me. This is the Dave theory. It is much better than the Evan code.
No,
It is.
I will give credit where credit is due. The concept of the Dave theory, like as it's presented, it is a very solid idea. Like it accounts for pretty much everything. It accounts for the name being reversed. I think the fact that they went with specifically connecting it back to the mirror.
The mirror was really good. Yeah.
That's right next to the word.
Like,
it's very good theory crafting. It's very like solid.
Then I know
I know
we both knew about this theory before Hyperdroid came out with his video, because I remember.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it before and dismissed it before.
But yeah, no, you cannot deny that Hyperdroid put like a lot of effort into this.
Yeah, no. This is now just the Hyperdroid, the We Love Hyperdroid video.
Yeah, true. Watch the like day-long FNAF video he is coming out soon. if I can get that video, if I can get this out in time before that releases. Hopefully. But yeah, no, I still would say, I would say, I don't think that there is I don't think there is necessarily any great options for the Crankchild's name. I think Garrett only gets in first place by virtue of the fact that Garrett is the name of Mike's brother in the movie. And even then, like, Abby isn't the name of Elizabeth. Abby is not a nickname for Elizabeth, no matter what people will try to tell you. So that doesn't even really do Garrett a lot of favors. But I still think he kind of just nudges out every other one simply by virtue of the fact that his name has been mentioned in the canon of the series. Dave is definitely the best option you're going to get if you're using the Foxy Grid, though. I do still think we can put this in B tier, to be honest.
Honestly, you know what? Just because I really like how it was presented, I will allow you to put it in B tier.
Yeah. And also with that, we're putting Evan in F tier. We're putting Evan in F.
Damn.
We're putting Evan in F.
It is the same. It is a different font of the same theory, but they have totally different tier placements.
Yeah, Evan goes in F. It's solely because of the N.
I guess that means we should compromise and put the Eva theory in
Eva
S
theory.
tier.
In S tier. True. Eva Afton goes in S tier. True.
All right, next theory.
Okay, next theory. I'm gonna let you come up with a theory now for this one.
And it's probably worse than all of these combined. It is in terms of discussing it.
Okay, go on.
Motorist. Midnight Motorist.
Midnight Motor. I mean, really? Midnight Motorist?
Specifically because it's topical. I want to bring up the idea that Midnight Motorist is after the murder of the Save Them kids.
Oh, okay. Midnight Motorist happens in 1987. No,
yes,
no.
It's a topical theory. We're gonna bring it up. Basically, the main bits of evidence for it is Five Laps at Freddy's. Five Laps at Freddy's introduces, well, I would say introduces. It just basically hammers over your head that
William is the orange guy.
is without a doubt the orange guy.
Yeah. Sorry for the people still in denial about that.
Sorry for the 2 green Afton fans out there.
sorry for the one person who still believes that, like, Andrew's dad is the orange guy. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry guys, we lost that battle. One of the things that we do, we get to literally drive Afton's car. We get to drive the Midnight Motor. 2 notable details on the car that were not present in the sprites that we have. Where there at the back of the car, there's a little bauble of Bring Bonnie. It's just a little yellow rabbit head. The other main detail that was not there before is in Afton's windshield. He has a little those fuzzy dice.
Yeah.
And the dice are 6-sided die, but they have 2 numbers that are impossible on a 6-sided die, and it is 8 and 7. So 87.
Yeah.
And the theory goes that this must mean something, and that what it means is that it's telling us that Midnight Motorist is in 1987. The main issue, I guess, there's 2 main issues. I said this before. I don't know if you ever saw me saying this, but so the big thing about Midnight Motorist is, yes, Five Laps at Freddy's absolutely has revealed information to us. Like it outright confirms stuff. However, it didn't specifically confirm something that you couldn't piece together yourself. Like, if you were just playing the games and absorbing media prior to this game's release, you could put together that William was the guy in the purple car.
Yeah, like here's the thing: as much as people who are still angry about this don't want to admit it, it's very easy to kind of conclude that William is the orange guy.
Yeah, no, and I can vouch for that as well, because that was and pretty much everyone had that as their original assumption. Like,
yeah,
I think
that was figured out within like a week.
Like, I as someone who has been in that exact mindset, I can very much safely say that every single person who argued against William being the orange guy, or pretty much every single person argued against William being the orange guy, believed he was the orange guy at some point in their life.
100%.
Yeah, like there's really no way around it. Like that was in every way like the default assumption that people would have, and
For very
admittedly
good
for good
reason.
reason. So the Spring Bonnie bobblehead is doing nothing but just confirming something you could already take away.
Yeah.
You can't get anything about 1987 from Midnight Motorist.
Yeah.
There's no possible way to see this minigame, and there's nothing in it that will tell you, oh hey, this was after Afton killed the Save Them kids.
Yeah, like you've got the rainy day, you've got the purple car, you've got William being, a drunk, angry guy. It's all very. It all points towards one specific minigame, and it's not 1987. It's 4 years prior.
Yeah. The only really thing it points to is the death of Charlie.
Yeah, like you've got later that night as well. It's like later that night. Come on.
Everything about it would tell you that it's after Charlie's death. And I mean, in the days before it was straight up confirmed, you could argue it after other incidents with varying arguments of varying quality. But the best way of viewing it is always that it was after Charlie's death.
Yeah.
You can't get that it's after the Save Them kills, and more importantly, why would it be? These are characters that Scott. These are characters that Scott does not care about.
True, because Scott forgot they existed.
He remembers the phrase exists.
Do you reckon they're going to appear? Do you reckon a new set of kids is going to appear in the FNAF 2 movie?
I would like if a new set of kids appeared, but as I've said, they basically don't matter to Scott. The Save Them kids ultimately only exist because I don't think Scott could at the time think of a better way to justify more killer robots.
They literally only exist so that the toys can be possessed, and yes, the toys are possessed. I'm not going into that. They are possessed.
That's not going on the tier list. They just are.
They just are. This is not a theory. I don't know how we ever got to the point of thinking the toys were just tampered with AI.
We got to that point from day one. That was always something people thought.
Yeah, because it's something that Phone Guy says. That's like saying that people always thought the FNAF 1 animatronics were like endoskeletons that were trying to stuff you into a suit. It's like, that's said in the game to show you that it's wrong.
Unlike that, for some reason, this idea just persisted as like an actual proposed explanation for some reason.
Yeah, even though the game is telling you it because it's wrong.
Yeah,
but anyways,
point is, there's nothing really saying that it would be about the Save Them kill. There's no reason for it to be about it. It's not like they are in Pizzeria Simulator even. They don't factor into this. They have no.
They have nothing to
actual connection.
They almost certainly were freed after FNAF 2.
Yeah. And if they weren't, that means that they were just like kind of ambiently haunting their empty shells that were then burnt.
Yeah. So I would put this in the same tier as Withered Foxy doing the bite, where I can see why people think it, but I disagree.
Yeah, actually, there is one other thing that I think makes that deserve to go a little bit lower. So the premise of Save Them is that this is at the aftermath of Afton killing these kids, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we notice is that Afton, he's in the building on his night guard shift. This is happening in the night before, the week before Jeremy.
Yeah.
When Afton was posing as the night guard.
Mm-hmm.
This makes a very big issue when we remember what midnight is. Because if Midnight Motorist, as the name suggests, is happening at midnight.
No, don't you see? It's actually happening at like 10 p.m. as some theorists have tried to say to me, unironically.
If it's at midnight, that makes a huge issue because William's night shift starts at midnight, which means that William would have to physically be in two places at once for this to occur.
Okay, this goes in F tier.
It is a theory that it is the only theory I think I've ever seen in this series That's not true. One of the only theories in the series that legitimately has clones as the way it has to work. I do want to throw another theory into the ring, actually.
I'm going to throw
that
another
I-
one as well, but I'll let you do this first.
I want to throw in Alter S. It was the Sire Squawk's Molten MCI theory. So first, I guess we should go over the premise of Molten MCI.
Molten MCI, for those unaware, is basically the idea that during the events of Follow Me, William goes to the FNAF 1 location, he dismantles the FNAF 1 animatronics, he takes the endoskeletons, he melts them down into liquid metal, which contains remnant, and then he injects that liquid metal into the fun times, and that allows for the collective souls of the missing kids to each inhabit the fun times. So you've got little shards of the missing kids in each of the fun times. They're all possessing each of the fun times. It's not like one soul possesses one of the fun times or whatever. They are all kind of collectively split up and like scattered across the fun times. And this pulls almost directly from the fourth closet. And this is heavily alluded to in Henry's speech in FFPS, where he talks about Follow Me and he talks about William trapping the kids, in those, fun times and whatever, all that stuff. I'm not doing a great job at explaining it.
It is less of a theory and more just kind of a fact of the series that not everyone agrees on yet.
Yeah, pretty much.
The idea of Alter S is basically Golden Freddy. It's basically Molten MCI. Everything is the same except Golden Freddy isn't involved in this. Golden Freddy is just physically not burnt, melted down. It's just these four that are turned together, and then Cassidy's soul does something else.
Well, I'm assuming
That
becomes
is the core of the theory.
Yendo or something.
Well, it was built off of the idea that Cassidy was the vengeful spirit, and specifically doing what Andrew does, and that basically after Follow Me, after Afton is spring locked, her soul just kind of latches on to Afton and calls it a day.
I mean,
Golden Freddy.
I'll say this about Alter S. If I thought that Cassidy was the vengeful spirit, I would say this is a pretty good. I'd say I would agree. I would agree with this. If I thought Cassidy was the vengeful spirit, I would agree with this. But I don't, so I don't agree with this.
I mean, even if you don't even have to necessarily believe it to see, like there are like underlying issues with the idea of Alter S. Specifically, one of the main things about one of the big things that Pizzeria Simulator does to tell us that
you've got the 5 things into one. Yeah,
the candidate stories in Pizzeria Simulator, it's specifically emphasizing the concept of 5 things merging together to one thing, or not merging, specifically being merged by an outside party
into one singular thing. Yeah.
With those 5, the only 5 that we really have being the missing kids, which would mean
until Into the Pit came along. Haha.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. But that is the premise of Alter S, and I think it's worth it's worth discussing just because it does have like that one little bit of, yes, there are only 4 endoskeletons were used for that heap of metal.
I'd put it in C tier. It's not bad, but I don't agree with it. But I can definitely see the thought process behind it, and I think it works to an extent. Obviously, it does have the issue of it does ignore the whole 5 things into one theming, so I wouldn't put it in B tier because of that. And I also don't agree that Cassidy is the vengeful spirit, so there's that.
Yeah.
But I'd say C tier, because C tier is not a bad thing. If you're in C tier, that's not bad. That just means like, you're okay.
I mean, it's pretty much.
I'm gonna go for Michael is the runaway in Midnight Motorist.
I love that one. I love this topic. I love the runaway. I just love talking about this stupid kid that ran away. I get no greater joy in life than going over the same 3 talking points a million times.
True.
Midnight
Motorist is so fun. It's so good, guys.
It's the same slop every day. I like the idea of of Michael being the runaway a lot more than specifically him being the bite victim.
Yeah, I agree. Because it fits more in character with him. The Crown Child's a wuss. He would never do that.
And even beyond that, because let's be completely for real. Characterization in FNAF can kind of go all over the place
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
like look at William in the Silver Eyes and look at him in the Fourth Closet. Characterization
No,
has
no, no.
never been Scott's strong suit.
I resent Fourth Closet William slander. I resent it.
No.
The issue isn't Afton in the Fourth Closet. The issue is Springtrap in the Twisted Ones.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I will stand by. Afton in the Fourth Closet would have worked a lot better for more people if Springtrap had been different. If he hadn't been a super villain.
If he hadn't been Megatron, it would have been better. I haven't seen
Yeah.
Transformers, by the way. I don't know if that's an accurate comparison.
No.
If he wasn't Skeletor, if he wasn't
very much
Skeletor,
Megatron.
if he wasn't
see like
Skeletor, I think it might be better.
I could see like Gen 1 Megatron, like his voice being used for several of Springtrap's lines, and it would work perfectly.
I'm gonna put Michael being the runaway in A tier.
Yeah, no, the reason I do like it, not only because it fits the characterization more, but it's probably the only runaway theory that adequately has an answer for the mound.
Yeah, it's Bite Victim's grave, because if Bite Victim is the one running away, what is the mound? Genuinely, what is it? What is it? Because I'm sorry, that's clearly where he's running away to. That's clearly where the runaway is going. It would not be there if it wasn't where he was going. Like, if it was a Freddy's location, you wouldn't call it that place. You'd say, oh, he ran off to McDonald's again, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. It's definitely, like, there's nothing to suggest it's any other location.
And, like, if you say, like, it's Mrs. Afton's grave, great, what's your evidence? You don't have evidence for that.
Yeah,
Mrs.
no,
Afton's never been relevant.
Is such a non-character.
Yeah,
There's
like,
no
she has
reason
no
for
impact
it to be
on the story.
Like, if she died, like, if she was dead in, like, the story of, like, Midnight Motorist, it would not focus on her, like her death. Like, there's no reason to dwell on her death because her character ultimately only exists out of necessity because William can't asexually reproduce.
Yeah, and we know that man isn't adopting.
Michael Runaway, A tier.
A tier, yeah.
Vanessa Afton.
Vanessa, okay, yeah, let's talk about Vanessa Afton.
Vanessa Afton, if the name doesn't give it away.
I wonder what this could possibly mean. Do you think
basically the theory is about Vanessa being Henry's daughter?
Yeah, she's Henry's daughter. Yeah.
No, yeah. So Vanessa Afton
goes in S tier. It gets its own tier. It goes in Vanessa tier.
We should discuss it, not just throw it in a tier first.
Oh, trust me. If we were just throwing it in a tier, I would not be putting it in S tier.
Oh yeah, no,
Sure. We'll get there. We'll get there.
No, but Vanessa Afton, it was a theory that existed before the movie, just not in a lot of prominence.
Yeah, like Vanessa A was like a thing since FNAF AR.
Yeah, FNAF AR was the first instance of what might have been Vanessa being an Afton with her last name starting with an A.
I think the main idea back then was that like she was like Michael's daughter or something.
There is still a big divide in the Vanessa Afton like stan culture.
Stan culture.
Yeah. Between if she's William Afton's daughter or if she's Michael's kid. But the
Michael's
premise,
gay,
the premise of the theory, yeah, true. No, but the theory mainly rose up into its prominence because of the movie, having Vanessa be his daughter.
Yeah, which like I don't necessarily think that's the greatest piece of evidence because of the fact that I think there's a very good argument to be made that Vanessa is only William's daughter in the movie because they couldn't do Glitchtrap in the movie. So it's easier to just have their relationship be like a father-daughter thing.
I mean, you could also argue that they just didn't have to put her in.
I mean, yeah, but Scott obviously wanted to.
Yeah, he did want to, but I think there's an argument to be made that the reason he wanted to put Vanessa in
was to emphasize
her connection to Afton.
Yeah, but also I don't like the idea that like everything in FNAF has to be answering another thing in FNAF, you know?
Yeah, but that kind of is how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and it unfortunately kind of is.
At least when it's like a blatantly explicit connection, it's usually trying to cover something
You
else.
see, the thing with Vanessa Afton is like I'd say I probably believe it, but I also kind of hate it. I think it sucks.
I don't think it sucks, but I definitely think that it's
It blows.
wonky.
It either sucks or it blows.
No, it's just kind of weird. I think the ultimate culprit for why it's weird is security breach at the end of the day.
I think that the timeline of it just makes no sense.
See, I don't think about it with the timeline.
Yeah, but like you kind of have to, and it doesn't make a
Uh,
lick of sense.
no, you don't. You don't have to think about it.
I'll put Vanessa Afton in B tier because I hate it, but I think it's probably true. I hate it because like I don't. There's genuinely no point to it. There is no point whatsoever. Nothing changes story wise with Vanessa being Afton.
Maybe maybe it will matter later.
Maybe it will matter later, but too little, too late, bro.
As it stands, I agree. There isn't a whole lot There isn't a whole lot of reason to have it exist, but it very much is like the movie isn't the only reason why it exists. Obviously, there's other stuff like
Yeah, there's Vanessa A. There's
there's
the
her
Bill
last
stuff.
yeah, Bill being literally just a nickname for William. So her father's name is William A. He's an abusive, controlling father who, at least through the context of the therapy tapes, she has some kind of mental association between him and Glitchtrap.
I wonder why that might be.
They're kind of
Kind of
doesn't get more.
beating you over the noggin with that one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
no.
she is definitely, at least most likely, she is an Afton.
And I hate that. I think it
Which,
sucks.
if she is
Um,
an Afton, that does also completely eliminate the possibility of Mrs. Afton being the corpse, being the
yeah.
mound.
I mean,
She would
there
have
is
to
also the
live on.
possible. I think I've said before that the only way that Vanessa being an Afton can work is that if she was born to someone else, like if like William had a second wife or something, because there was no way Mrs. Afton stuck around after
William,
FNAF 4.
no. She left, but they remarried. Like William just put on some of that charm.
Doing the William charm. Oh yeah, no, there are
No,
three
but
kids. Two of their
she
kids are dead, and one of them's a corpse, but technically not dead, and he's
two
somewhere
kids dead, one estranged.
one
He just
straight.
and he just knocks on the door like he looks like Dave. He's got like the Dave Miller
He's got Dave Miller.
malnourished look. He's just got like a wilting rose between his teeth. He's like, hey.
You know what? Honestly, Matthew Lillard is a very handsome man. I can I can see
I
it.
can get where it's coming from.
Like, no, I'm not condoning it, but I can see it.
All right, Hudson being the night guard in FNAF 3.
I hate it, but it's probably true.
Is that your whole stance on it?
That's basically it, yeah. What do you think?
I don't hate it, and I think it is true.
You see, the thing is, with Hudson being the FNAF 3 guard, what we find is a really good story. What
Yeah.
we find is really good. But also, none of it fucking matters, because what we find isn't canon.
No, get this guy out.
What we find is not canon. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's just not. Like, yeah, I think Frights is canon, but Scott also said some of them are connected to the games and some of them aren't. I think that leaves room for some of the stories to just be their own thing. What we find is very different to FNAF 3, namely, Fazbear Frights doesn't burn down. That's very crucial. It doesn't burn down. Like, come on. That's like the one thing that Fazbear Frights exists to do is to burn down. It doesn't do that in what we find. You got anything to say? Bud?
I raised you into the pit.
Bud has gotten no rebuttal whatsoever. I
I
think we
think
should
it's better than Mike being the guard.
I don't. Well, actually, I don't really care for Mike being the guard. I think we should probably talk about that. We should probably talk about Mike being the guard before we talk about Hudson being
Okay.
the guard.
Hudson in S tier, Mike in B tier.
No.
Damn it.
Hudson goes in B tier in the sense that I think it's probably true. I don't like it.
Okay, but we definitely should. You're right. Put Hudson in B tier. Now we talk about Mike guard.
Okay.
Or Fright Mike, or whatever the fuck they call it these days.
Basically, for those of you who haven't read the books and don't want to know about Hudson, just pretend that Hudson means like random person is the FNAF 3 guard. That's basically it.
Yeah. So basically, like, people act like there's 3 options with the guard. It's either he's a Mike, he's a random dude, or he's Hudson. Hudson is the second option.
Hudson is the random dude. He's
a random
dude.
It's basically the equivalent of saying, like, phone guy is either Ralph or some other guy.
Ralph is some other guy, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's basically like if you were to take like that theory and just say like, or take Ralph and just say like, it's some other guy. Actually, it's not Ralph.
Hudson is just the name to some random guy.
Yeah, and name and filling in a backstory for a character that we didn't know about prior.
Yeah.
And of course, on the opposite end, you have Mike being the guard, which is it's self-explanatory. It's a self-explanatory premise.
Yeah.
The main reason it exists is built on that fundamental idea that Mike is somehow a character in all of the games.
I don't even think so. I think the main reason it came about was because of the sister location custom Mike cutscene. I think that's why it mainly started. That's when I started seeing it really get big.
Well, yeah, but the sister location cutscene was also what started up like the Mike all theory to begin with.
Yeah, true.
Like once we had the idea of Michael Afton as like this like main character type person, it kind of just turned into he is somehow at least one of the characters in all of the games. The thing about Mike being the guard, so the main evidence it's got going for it is it's 3 things, I guess. The Phantoms.
Yeah.
Just kind of being
which I don't even think that really counts as evidence because
no, that is
I don't even think it does because like
argument.
all of the characters who appear as the Phantoms. But I'm trying to think. Minus like no, okay. Yeah, no, pretty much all the characters who appear as the Phantoms, except Withered Freddy, appear in the FNAF 3 building. They are in there.
Yeah, the thing is, all of the Phantom, what we found actually goes into this a little bit with explaining partially what the Phantoms are.
Yeah.
But one of the things about the Phantoms is that they are fundamentally based on the actual physical attractions in Fazbear's Fright. And this is an idea. This isn't something that the book just made up for the book story to explain it. This is something that you could piece together from FNAF 3. The main,
yeah, because like you've got like Withered Foxy. His hook appears in the.
Foxy is the biggest example of that.
His hook appears in the thing.
His hook arm being in the box, and that is specifically the arm he is missing.
Yeah.
Like it's like he like basically like he's standing in front of the box. It's almost like he basically like walked out of the box, missing just that bit of that phantom part left behind in the arm.
Yeah.
And this links back to the other characters as well. You have Phantom Puppet appearing on the camera with the puppet's mask.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Balloon Boy being Balloon Boy.
Both Phantom Balloon Boy and Phantom Chica, one of their main things is specifically close-ups of their heads.
Yeah, because they only appear as the heads.
Even Phantom Freddy, even though he's his withered design, his whole thing is literally he's just walking towards the Freddy like bust that they have up there at the end of the hallway.
Yeah.
And Mangle is just Mangle.
It's just Mangle, yeah.
There's nothing really you can do with that.
There's not a lot,
just Mangle.
Yeah. Just Mangle.
But fundamentally, the Phantoms are based on the attractions, not past experience.
Yeah.
And for it to be past experience, it would also specifically require Mike to be at the FNAF 2 location.
Yeah, which even that's debatable. at
That is a
best.
debatable topic.
Yeah, I don't.
So there's
I
that.
don't think. I don't think he was Fritz. To be clear,
Yeah,
I think he
I don't
could
either.
be, but I think he could be,
Please,
but I don't think he
Click Team,
is.
Click Team, almighty Click Team, release that Fritz game.
Oh, mighty click team, please don't release that
L-
Fritz game.
No. Okay, so the Phantoms, there's that. Second main bit of evidence for it is of
The
course
speech.
the speech at the end. It was
The main idea
whole-
being that this is Mike talking about going to Fazbear's Sprite, and then we see the direct aftermath of it. So
yeah,
basically,
it's like Fazbear's
basically
Sprite
the
is
idea
backdrop for Mike's speech.
basically the idea is, oh, you're meant to think that this is happening, like at the same time or after FNAF 3, but then the twist is, oh, the speech was actually the prelude to FNAF 3, and this is what
Actually,
happened whenever he found him.
the truth is, the twist is actually that Springtrap was giving the speech.
Oh, true.
Mike Trap and S tier?
Mike
Question?
Trap and S tier, yes. Mike Trap and S tier.
But the thing is, with Mike's speech, sure, you can obviously make the conclusion that it's like setting up Mike confronting Afton in FNAF 3, but it's also much more likely that it's meant to be. It's two the visual and the audio are two ultimately disconnected events that are both building up to the same thing. Like the
FPS.
ending of the ending of Mike's speech, and the reveal of Springtrap basically fit aside with what they're meant to show. It is
Yeah.
it's setting up a conclusion between these two characters. Mike vows to find Afton as it's revealed that Afton is still alive and obviously will be returning in the next game.
Yeah.
It couldn't be, you couldn't get more explicit like a sequel hook if like after the like it's fades to black you saw like Michael Afton will return appear on the screen.
So you get a post-credit scene of Mike eating shawarma or something.
Yeah, no, pretty much. It's basically like it is as explicit of a sequel hook as you get.
Yeah.
And it fit a lot more with Mike trying to find his father after FNAF 3. Like, or not specifically after, but like that confrontation only happening after FNAF 3.
Yeah.
Because that the whole premise is like Michael sets it up as like finding William is the last thing like on his bucket list. Like it's the only thing left for him in life.
Yeah.
So like it should be like that that confrontation should be the conclusion.
Which is another reason why Mike surviving after FFBS doesn't make any goddamn sense, but okay.
Yeah, no, Mike in that same argument could be applied if he was the FNAF 3 guard.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of people just like throw out the fact that Mike very clearly does not want to be alive anymore.
Yeah, no, Mike he's in a similar boat to Henry in the games where like after he gets his shit done, he's basically like done with living.
Remember what he said in the logbook about where he'd be in 5 years?
Yeah, no, like Mike straight up like expects to be dead within a few years.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, this is not the kind of man who would willingly take an outs if Henry gave him one.
Yeah, no, he found Afton and like now everything's going up.
Yeah, and look how well that turned out for him.
They all died eventually.
Yeah, well, William's still kind of kicking around-ish.
Nah. He got smushed by the big rabbit lady.
Oh yeah, true. Vanny Schmitten.
Vanny came in clutch. But I get then the third big evidence that people have. You mentioned it by name a few seconds ago. The logbook.
Yeah.
Because it's got 5 pages
God.
that depict Foxy in the FNAF 3.
3.
Six pages. There's also the comic book page.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that?
It's not very good evidence.
It's not, yeah.
That's my ultimate
It's
conclusion.
basically you could use the same argument to say that phone guy. You could use the same argument to say phone guy is the FNAF 3 guard because he likes Foxy.
Yeah. Especially, I think this whole idea falls apart when you ultimately recognize that the logbook is very much planting itself as a FNAF 1 artifact. Like it wasn't written in at the time of FNAF 1. That much is clear from just some of Michael's drawings.
Yeah.
But it is very much front, back, and inside stated over and over and over again. This is a book by Fazbear Entertainment for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Night Guards.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it has information that the people at Fazbear's Fright shouldn't know at the time, like stuff about the
Springlock stuff?
Springlock. It knows about, yeah, the Springlock suits and the safe rooms, which is stuff they would have only found out about after night 1, which would mean that they somehow had to fully finish this entire book within less than a few days and give it to Mike. I can see why people would think Mike was the FNAF guard and why people would want
It's
him to
not
be
it's
the
not
FNAF.
unreasonable.
Not an
Especially for
unreasonable
the
theory,
time.
but it goes, and even now for its time, because if you don't want it to be Hudson, you really don't have many other options.
Yeah, it genuinely doesn't matter who the FNAF 3 guard is.
It's nice to have confirmation of who he is, so people can stop wasting their time on topics that
Yeah.
don't matter. But ultimately, it being Michael doesn't have a lot going for him, and the whole logistics of him even getting a job is kind of muddied by being a
Given
walking corpse.
the whole corpse thing.
Yeah, the only job that's reasonable for him to get after that is the one at FNAF 6 because of Henry.
Yeah. So this one is the idea that the Springlock failure mentioned in FNAF 3 happened at Circus Baby Pizza World.
Oh, I love this discussion. I love this one.
Do you actually?
I do really like this theory.
I do really like this theory as well. I think it fits very well. I'm a big fan of this theory.
Yeah, I very much like the idea. Like before Sister Location that had that option, the best bet people had was nothing. It was just some random Sister Location.
It was just some random Freddy's, yeah.
Yeah, because we don't really have exactly we didn't have any other locations at the time. Or at least we didn't have any like different names. We had Fredbear's, but that was supposedly long gone by that point. And obviously, we don't know of any Springlock failures that happened there.
Yeah, and again, for the 3 people who aren't aware, the Bite of 83 was not a Springlock failure.
Yeah. But I think with Sister Location, it was a very, very deliberate choice to specifically title it Sister Location.
Yeah. And also the fact that like both the phone guy mention of the Springlock failure happens on night 4. The Springlock night of Sister Location, where Baby mentions the I don't think it was ever used, at least not the way it was meant to be used. That happens on night 4.
Yeah,
a lot of people have tried to relate that line in particular to like, oh, maybe she's referring to like murders or whatever. The Springlock was used for murders. We've never gotten any indication that any murders other than like Elizabeth happened at Circus Baby's Pizza World.
Yeah.
The only other indication we have is that, something happened with the Springlock suit. What happened? What is the one thing that we know happens whenever you don't use a Springlock suit properly? It blows you up.
It fails.
It blows you up.
Yeah, we're basically presented with, we have a thing called Sister Location, like outright just called a Sister Location, that has a Springlock suit that was not used properly. Something went wrong with it. That's basically exactly what we're told happened with Phone Guy.
Yeah.
I see no, and I aside from like dating when Sister Location happens, I see no real reason to otherwise to include a Springlock suit in such prominence.
I also do think it works really well because like there's a lot of supporting evidence that Elizabeth dies before the missing children, but like after Charlie, and this works perfectly with that because Sister Location, Circus Baby's Pizza World was only not even open really for a day. It was like there was like a test day. It was not even like a full opening.
It was like an early show day where they let kids in before it opened up proper.
Yeah, so like it fits really well. this would happen like just before the missing children incident, because as we hear from Phone Guy, this basically happened in like the weeks or months preluding the missing children going
Yeah,
missing. The
not
missing
too long
children going
apart.
missing. Yeah.
And I think
Um.
another thing that is worth noting is when Phone Guy talks about it, he specifies that it's the location. Like there's something
Yeah.
about this establishment that sets it apart, and it doesn't mean that it's just Freddy's and that, because in another call he specifies that there are multiple locations with
Yeah.
safe rooms, spring lock suits. So there's clearly something that's supposed to be different about Freddy's and these multiple locations and this one specific business that's the location. And the I mean, what better difference than it literally being a different brand? It's not
Yeah.
Freddy Fast Pizza. It's Circus Babies.
I think this is I would honestly I'd put this in S tier. I think this is really, really good.
Yeah, and it's honestly just kind of a shame. It's not. I don't think it's used. It's not really like discussed as much as I think
Yeah.
it deserves to be.
Yeah, no, the only time that I've seen this brought up on YouTube was in that one Mr. Desk fan video, and his suggestion was basically the same thing, except his idea was that Williams staged it, that it wasn't actually a real Springlock failure. Williams staged it, which like I think that's fine. I don't necessarily agree with that because I like the idea that it was an actual Springlock failure. But like yeah, it being a staged idea, it being a staged thing absolutely works. I think his
Yeah,
idea specifically was um internally the story was that it was a Springlock failure, and then like to the public the idea was that it was a gas leak.
yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just think it works better as it was just a legitimate accident. I don't necessarily see why Afton was rigging a suit to just kill some random performer, anyways.
Yeah. Screw that guy.
This dude annoys me. I'm gonna kill him.
You should fire Dave. He sucks. Blows him up with Springlocks.
This I got this one suit performer, this fucking dude, Emmett Tucker, he pisses me off. I'm gonna rig his suit to kill him.
Anyways, so now we're gonna end this off with Kid hiding in Balloon Boy. That's an S tier. That's for all you old heads who remember the old FNAF theories.
The good old days.
The good old days.
Back when we had Shadow Balloon Boy and
Uh, back whenever
Puppet.
back whenever like 8-Bit Ryan would make FNAF Theory top tens and Smike would make FNAF Theory top tens. Those are the good old days. Back when Dawko would make actual theory videos. Anyways, that's the video. I'm very
Yay!
thank you all for listening to our inane ramblings. Hopefully, I've been able to cut this down to some kind of reasonable length. But
If this
for the
video
mean,
releases, that is.
if that's what the video releases. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you sometime in the future.
Patreon.